And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Oh, but it has taken on new meaning because of the new love that is being formed betwixt these two human beings as their souls ignite and unite together in a beautiful conflagration, and eventually they have sex, but then the windows get really steamy in the cabin that they're in because it's cold outside, and then one of them gets pregnant, and then they have a kid, and they name it after the guy that was dead. But then he comes back as a zombie, and he eats the child and everyone in the town.
That sounds like a good movie, Sean.
Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle? Season 10, Episode 4, the original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me I have a man who this week told us that all women really want is security. Well, that's what they shout whenever he approaches them anyway. It's Mike McDonough. Also beside me I have a lady who this week said, not to brag or anything, but my bank tells me I have an outstanding balance. Shona, I love Canada, Atlantic. Live from Vegas, we have a man who clicked on start your free trial and is now dialing in with his one call from prison. It's Sean. And in the red corner, it's our cuddly killer, a man who after last Saturday night says that he's campaigning to fit breathalyzers to ATMs. It's Mark, superhero Bennett. This week we'll be discussing some movies in the shape of Room and The Fifth Wave, and some TV in the form of Angie Tribeca. Of course, we'll have the usuals with the news and some previews and coming to a bicycle near you. How are we doing?
Hi,
Fantastic,
everyone.
Steve.
Great intro, Steve. You're on fire this week.
Oh, thanks very much.
Absolutely, some great opening quips. So for people watching it, for people who don't have the benefit of watching it on video, which is me, I guess, Shona tonight is dressed as a more attractive version of the Hamburgler. That's nice work, Shona.
I thought it was more like, French garlic cellar.
French garlic cellar, I'll go with that. Meet the Hamburgler. All of my dreams come true.
And Popeye. No.
So I have a bone to pick with you, Sean O'Flaherty.
All right, what is it? You can get in line.
Every time a woman speaks in a movie, I now check to see whether she's talking about a man or not.
Oh, totally.
Well done, Mark. Converted. And I'm so proud. So goddamn proud. Have you looked at that
There's a little tear in your eye.
I know.
It is, but it's just because Mark called me the Hamburgler. And I made such an effort to come to the studio without baby vom on my top today.
We do appreciate the effort. Because
You
last week,
appreciate the effort.
let's face it, was a bit offensive. We didn't want to say anything. But
I just noticed she's only a little bit in her hair and some in her trousers.
Yeah, but none on my shirt, which is the important thing.
But I think being more in keeping with, I guess, women's labour, anti-sexism in modern film, it's given me a
Basic
certain
human rights
capability.
and equality. Yeah.
Yeah, it's given me. I'm a bit better at multitasking now, in that I can listen to what they're saying and figure out whether they're talking about a man or not while mentally undressing them.
With one hand you giveth and the other you taketh away.
Look, you're getting there. You've cracked it. You're getting there. It's just a bit more work.
Do you know what? I'm not taking the bait.
A bit more work.
Good for you, Mark. Good for you.
What bit?
I think, Shona, there's a Greek legend about somebody who had to push a boulder up a hill.
Mark, have you any update on your TV status?
No, I don't.
They didn't get back to you.
I actually spent big chunks of my weekend working, and it's been so busy at work at the minute that it never occurs to me to get up for 5 minutes and ring these assholes.
All right. Yeah.
So the only update is I haven't got a check, though I have looked at a couple of odd looking envelopes suspiciously in the hopes they contained one.
Yeah.
I do that all the time, but there's never money in them.
But Mark,
No.
I spent my weekend wondering if Mark got his check yet. That's how much I care about you.
Mike called me at like 4 a.m. on Saturday and he's like, I can't sleep. I need to know. Have you heard anything?
I did send a mail to the guy who I mailed the receipt to, and I had a note to myself with all the details of everybody involved in the incident, and that's in my car somewhere, and it'll be safe there, but it cannot be found. So, like, when things get dire enough, I will search through the rubbish in my car to find the correct piece of paper I need. But what I did do, so I actually lied. I did try and call them. I just didn't get anywhere. So I rang Went to the guy's email address, got the domain, searched for the domain because that's obviously the company name, found them, rang their helpline, went on hold, ran out of time because I had to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
So there'll be an update next week because I can't let it go any longer now. I'm really worried that they were actually laughing at me.
Let me see. What was on this week? Oh, tell us. You saw Code Black?
Yeah, I saw the pilot because it was on. It looks like it's trying to do like a Grey's Anatomy type, humor and everyone is besties type show. One thing that was driving me mental is one of the main doctors, clearly Code Black's version of McDreamy.
Yeah.
I knew his face. And I sat there the whole episode, I was looking at his face being like, where do I know your face? He's from the latest season of Homeland. He is someone who gives Carrie information. It drove me flipping mental. Yeah.
I
IMDb to the rescue on that one.
I thought you were going to say Saigon, 1975.
I saw this a few weeks ago, and I said to Mark that this would be right up his alley. Hospital, drama, very drama.
It's as much about the patient, the doctors, as it is about the patients.
Totally.
Yeah.
Doctors have feelings too.
They do.
And they all wrap it up neatly in time to go home.
Yeah, that's kind of my main criticism of it, is that I think it's, I feel like this has all been done before. Like, it's Grey's Anatomy's 10 years ago. Yeah. Whereas I think now with shows like 24 Hours in A&E and other kind of reality-based hospital programs, I think you need to be a bit more gritty and kind of real-timey about it rather than this kind of Grey's Anatomy season 1.
Yeah.
Who are the new doctors this year?
Yeah.
Thing. So.
It's not Code Red, it's Code Black.
I mean, it was okay. It was, I watched it over several days when I had to be in front of the TV.
It's awful trash.
Pardon my ignorance, what's a Code Black?
It's when it's not Code Red, it's Code Black.
Oh,
it's like, it's like they don't have enough resources, kind of.
That's
it's so red, it's black.
They open the episode with a description of it. I think it's when there's so many patients.
They have to shut the doors. Sorry, no more.
Yeah. And no hospital ever goes into Code Black, but this particular hospital's in Code Black 3 times a month or something. I don't know. It's really busy.
Like Tala Hospital.
And then by the end of the episode is when there's all these people coming in and they're like, we're Code Black. And then you're like, oh my God, it's the name of the TV show. They just said it on the TV show. It's very exciting.
I saw something called Baskets this week, which is a new...
Is that documentary on basket weaving that shows you the best techniques for how to make a basket?
No, that's for next week. I think.
He always loved his arts and crafts, Steve.
Yeah, he did.
Very good at making do.
Mary Fitzgerald. This is from Louis C.K. and Zach Galifianakis. It's a dramedy. So it's about Chip Baskets, is his name. And he goes to France to a prestigious French clowning college. And then he discovers that he probably should have learned French. No one will speak English to him and he doesn't know what's going on, so he flunks out, right? So he returns back to his hometown of Bakersfield, California, which is to continue the dream of becoming a professional clown. And so he gets a job as a rodeo clown, distracting bulls, and sometimes sort of getting lifted out of it by them. But he's being paid $4 an hour.
Okay.
Oh, so while he's in France, he marries this girl, so that doesn't love him. It's a marriage of convenience for her because he has to support her. But this kind of thing. So, so during this time back at home, he falls off a scooter and befriends an insurance assessor / claims adjuster. It was brilliantly played by a deadpan Martha Kelly. And Martha's character is just so brilliant. She soaks up so much verbal abuse and, just runs right off her, not phased at all, And she's always got a positive, good look, or a good outlook on everything, She just turns it around to something positive every time.
Right.
Yeah, so that starts to annoy him, So he starts
that
doing
would
it on
annoy
purpose,
me.
So it's great. There's great character interaction with his mother, who's played by Louis Anderson, in drag. For a moment, I was like, is he? Or is, because it's a really deep voice, and I was sort of going,
right.
I'm not sure if that's a man, just for a few minutes, but his lines are just hilarious because it's obvious where all of Chip Basket's problems came from in his childhood by the attitude of his mother,
Right.
Did he go to college? I can't remember. Did he? And there's some brilliant lines, like his boss at the rodeo, he's an old boy, cowboy type guy, and he tells him to ditch his clown name of Renoir and use his real name of Baskets. And he goes, and he says, how many clowns end up in baskets? That's the most perfect clown name I've ever heard. So it goes from there anyway. It's very good. It's not all laughs, but it's very dark comedy, in places. Yeah, it's I really enjoyed it.
Worth a view if it's around.
Yeah, for sure,
Okay.
for sure, yeah. What else did we get to? I got to Bridge of Spies.
Uh-huh.
Not a show I've seen.
Did it
this is the movie.
match expectations? It was highly thought of.
It did, yeah. It's written by the Coen brothers or co-written by the Coen brothers, directed by Spielberg, stars Tom Hanks, and it's a Cold War thriller based on the 1960 U-2 incident in which U-2 there was a
Bono parachuted into Russia.
there was an East-West summit coming up, and the Russians shot down an American spy plane, and they said, "No, you didn't. It wasn't military at all." And they said, "Well, actually, we've got all the pictures you took of our bases here, and we've got your pilot who bailed out instead of blowing himself up." So what it starts off as Tom Hanks is a lawyer, and he's asked to take on a case where he's going to be defending a Russian spy that they've caught.
Okay.
Right. And it eventually ends up in being a swap.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. A swap kind of thing. So it's very good. It's not a... There's bits of action in it, but it's not a big action Cold War movie. Wow. It's very dialogue based, and it's the better for it. And the sets are amazing. Spielberg. Just amazing.
Is it a Tom Hanksy Wanksy kind of a movie?
No, it's not actually. It's not.
Okay.
No, it's not actually. Yeah, it's a good question actually. There's an Irish interest in here in Eve Hewson is in it.
Ali's daughter?
Exactly.
Ah.
So there is the U2 connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be so hard to get an audition when Bono's your dad.
So one thing worth noting is that Mark Rylance is in this. He was in Wolf Hall with Damian Lewis, and he's excellent as a really calm, quiet, really calm demeanored spy.
Right.
That he's just like at one stage Tom Hanks goes, "Don't you get excited about it, or do you get reaction from anything?" He's just, "No, would it help?" Probably not. And he goes, "Oh, well, you've just been arrested for spying on Americans." So, I was, just one other thing to note in this, the score in it is brilliant. And as we know, Spielberg and John Williams have this relationship going on for years. I think out of 28 movies since 1974 that John Williams has done the score for 27 of them for him. But he didn't do this one, nor, I think it was The Color Purple, but he didn't do this one because he was a bit sick and he was doing Star Wars at the time. So, but
is it an original score?
Thomas Newman does it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very, very good. There's some great sequence shots, like showing the life and movements of the Russian spy, which is quite good because all he does is does his spy stuff, comes home to a Spartan apartment and paints.
Okay.
And might do self-portraits or, just... Yeah, sure. What else would I be doing? That kind of thing. So
on that theme, how do you think it would compare to something like Deutschland 83?
It's different. You see, Deutschland 83 is it shows a bit more of the espionage from oh my God, we're going to get caught. Oh no, we got away with it.
Right.
Oh my God, we're going to get caught again.
Yeah.
In a different scenario. Oh, we got away. Whereas this isn't it? It's more about. They just show you these guys have done this and these guys have done this, and now this is the consequence, and this is how it's dealt with.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, rather than the high paced thriller approach, let's say. But I think it's a better movie for that, because it's not an action movie. I'd highly recommend this. I mean, it's a very strong 8 for me for this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and I can see why. It's been nominated in a few categories, all right. So, but Mark Rylance was the standout in this, as a supporting actor, I guess. Yeah. So that was Bridge of Spies. Also got to Theeb.
Did you?
Which is nominated on the Forgigan.
When I saw Theeb written down, I was like, "Is this like a Bieber fan site or something?"
No, Theeb refers to the young Bejewin boy, and it's set in it was the Ottoman Empire at the time. It's World War One, so it's what now is Jordan, Israel kind of area, and it's the province of Hiyaz, I think is how you pronounce it. So a young Bajoran boy experiences a greatly hastened coming of age as he embarks on a perilous desert journey to guide a British officer to his secret destination. That's kind of the blurb on it.
Is his name Lawrence?
No, but there's been a lot of comparisons made because it's in the same timeline and the same sort of, I won't say, Arabian kind of a setting, but no, completely different.
Right.
That said, this wasn't the movie I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a journey movie.
Okay.
Where I guess it is a bit of a journey movie, but it's more of a coming of age movie. It's what they described it as, sort of like an Ottoman or Bajoon Western. Is how the director has started describing it at times in interviews, and it's very Westernist. Yeah.
I think if you wanted to see this as a journey film, it's important that you don't stop believing.
Just get out. Fucking get out.
So Theeb is the youngest son of a recently deceased sheikh who is well known throughout the land for knowing places and how to get places and so on. And an Englishman comes with a guide and to look for another guide to get to a certain well / spot where he's to meet up with some of the rebel battalion fighters guys, right? And Theeb's closest brother is sent to do this. He leaves, and he's only over the nearest dune when Theeb goes, oh shit, I want to go too. Because he's really close to his brother. And so he runs after them, but they don't hear him, and he's on a little donkey, and then he starts walking, and then he doesn't catch up with them till nightfall. And then they're just like, oh shit, well, we can't go back. Yeah. So we'll bring him with us, kind of thing. So, and he can't send him back on his own kind of thing. So, but it's not going to be an easy journey, let's say.
Of course.
What age group are we looking at here? Is this annoying kid category? Or?
Oh, definitely not. Okay. Definitely not a kid's movie.
No, but I mean, the kid on the donkey.
No, he's not.
He's not one of these obnoxious 7-year-olds.
No, he's not a drooly type kid. No, no, he passes the bicycle test.
Yeah. Don't drill on yourself while acting.
Yeah. No, he's very, very strong. In fact, I believe they did rehearsals for a year before they went anywhere near film.
Really?
Yeah. So I was wondering, the kid's an extra year old. I was like, but that was good advanced thinking there, know. But the kid is really, really good. And I found it kind of got a bit slow in one or two places, but it wasn't too bad. But I'd probably give it a strong 6.
Okay.
All in. Yeah.
And in Oscar terms, you think there's better out there?
Well, I've yet to see Son of Saul, which is meant to be very, very strong, and I've yet to see the French Mustang. That's the name of it. So I'll come back to you on that anyway.
Okay.
Okay. So DC Legends of Tomorrow. Leonardi's. Who wants to?
Man, they
talked
talked about this show, and they talked about this show, and they talked about it. Oh my God! I think I knew this show was happening over a year ago. That's how long they've been building it up. So, Legends of Tomorrow is a DC Universe superhero TV show. It's in the same universe as Flash and Arrow and Constantine. And, Constantine has been cancelled, obviously. But they have a collection of side characters from Arrow mainly.
And Prison Break.
And Prison Break. Well, Michael Scofield and his brother play Freezy and Fireman.
Captain Cold.
I knew that would get you.
Right now.
I knew that would get you. So you've got Freezy and Fireman. You've got Wingy Girl and Wingy Boy. Then there's Doctor Who, I think.
God damn it.
Yeah. I'm forgetting somebody. Then there's
Brandon Routh. Formerly Superman.
Then there's
there's
white martial artsy girl.
Yeah.
And
you've got your man that's dressed in Lego, the Iron Man-y type dude.
Fire Cloud Hopper.
Right, Sean, will you help me out here and actually name the real characters that are in this show, please?
DC's Legends of Tomorrow consists of a group of heroes and villains, many of which we've seen before in Flash and Arrow. They're being collected by Rip Hunter, a time master. Definitely not a Time Lord like in Doctor Who, played by Arthur Darvill, who was most recently seen in Doctor Who. The heroes and villains he's collecting are Captain Cold and fucking fire guy, whose name I don't know, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, the Atom, both parts of the combined entity known as Firestorm, and is that it? And White Canary, as you said.
What are the argumentative couple called again?
The ones with wings.
Yeah, the ones from Flash Gordon.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
Ah, that's the one. Yeah.
Flash Gordon.
It sounds like almost the dregs that you pick out of the sink
It is
of the Marvel universe.
It really is. Yeah.
DC,
worse,
whatever. It's
worse.
all the same to me.
No, it's like, when you go out into the garden and you're doing the first clean up of spring and you lift up that old pallet that was way down the back in the bushes and all that stuff scurries off.
Yeah.
Oh, come here! They grabbed them from there. They weren't even in the barrel.
Yeah. And you just kind of have to taste one, don't you?
So the setup for the show is that Vandal Savage has taken over the Earth in some far-flung future. I think it's 2018.
2166.
You just came right on top of my joke there. So I think it's in the far-flung future, like 2018 or something like that. But he's destroyed the world, and this Doctor Who archetype person has to go back and fix the future. So to do that, he picks a whole bunch of people that are inconsequential to the timeline, but have the gumption and the powers that will possibly help him out. So that's kind of the setup. So each week they're going to try and do something to thwart Vandal Savage's future. And it seems like they have, like, he picks a number of the team that he wants on his, like, away mission, to use Star Trek terminology, and the others are just meant to, like, kick it back at the ship, which is exactly how it used to go on Star Trek. So that's the setup, and that was pretty much exactly what happened this week, except it was a shorter plot arc because they had to do the whole what Sean described about plucking them from their various times and all. So that was it.
You've raised an interesting question, Mark. Like, with all these people traveling through time, it's normally seems to be a sort of a wormhole type effort to get from one time span to the other. So there's probably lots of people trying to use the same place at the same time. So I'm just wondering, is there traffic rules? Do you drive on the left, yield to the right? How does that work, when you meet somebody outside of time?
Rush hour's a bitch.
It's a question that everyone wants to know because, temporal mechanics are complicated enough. But when it's gridlock, oh my God.
Backed up for hours, man.
Yeah. So I've been looking forward to this show for a long time, and I was significantly underwhelmed by how it actually came along. But I think it's early. So, when you watch a new TV show that's an ensemble, right? Because each character gets so little screen time, it takes longer to get into it. If there's a more focused character spread, then it's that bit easier to get connected to each one of them, right? So I think there's an element of that. They've tried to avoid that by including people that we already know, like Coalman and Fireman, have been in a lot of Barrow. And I quite like them. I really like Michael Scofield's character. What's his actor's name?
Michael Scofield.
Wentworth Miller. And the other guy is Dominic Purcell.
Yeah, not a huge fan of Dominic Purcell's character, but he doesn't have a lot to do. He's the basic grunt, But Dominic Purcell brings a lot to it, I think. Also, my favourite actress in the world ever is Katie Lotz. Shona, you may want to cover your ears, but it's because of her hotness.
No, you're allowed to enjoy people because of their hotness. That's fine.
Okay. So she's in this, and I'm glad because for a while I thought she wasn't going to be in anything after we saw her in that AI thing.
Ex Machina?
She was the robot? No, not Ex Machina.
Lucy?
No, the one after that.
No, I've forgotten what it was.
Transcendence?
No.
Just name
There's
AI.
so many of these fucking things.
Right, look, it doesn't matter. But
the
she
one
was
with Johnny
that didn't
Depp
do very well.
Oh, Metal Girl? No. Fight Metal Girl.
I don't know. Anyway, look at
Talkie Hot Kill Girl.
Someone else needs to talk about Legends of Tomorrow. I think I've given my opinion. So I was underwhelmed. I am going to keep watching it for the reasons I've mentioned. Katie Lotz being chief among them.
So yeah, there are too many characters in this show. There are too many characters. They've tried to get around that in a number of science fiction ways by making two of the characters one character for the action scenes.
One of whom is based on Bia Baracus, isn't he? You have to knock him out every time we want to bring him anywhere.
Oh yeah. There was a running joke with that. Yeah. So what the show basically is in its first episode is: would these people decide that they want to go back in time, forward in time, wherever, to try and stop essentially Vandal Savage, who is immortal super Hitler? And so they all have their own reasons for whether or not they do that. They're told that the reason they've been chosen is because they're going to be the legends of tomorrow. And then they're all suitably disappointed when they're told, actually, it's because no one will ever remember you. You're not important enough that you'll be missed, which is a big blow. I like that in terms of the plot and how that affects the characters. That's great. The acting is good. Like, it's poppy. It's not like there's that much deep stuff going on here. And when there is, it's very like monologue-y, like Brandon Routh, who I love and everything, gets a moment where he talks about how I've spent my life trying to matter. I just want to matter. And I'm just like, I want you to matter as well. You're so attractive and I want to cry along with you. I want to laugh with you. And it's fun. Like at certain points, they're just inserting lines or plot things so they can have a laugh, like go beat the shit out of some truckers, in a bar. So I think it's a fun show. It's definitely flawed and I'll be excited to see how they handle it. It's an overlarge cast of characters.
I think they're going to use that away mission format to do it though, because I watched all of Katie Lotz's interviews, and she was talking in an extremely attractive way about how each time they get a script, there's always a kind of I get to work with you this week, or I get to work with somebody else, because they seem to split them out into smaller groups, so it's a bit more manageable, because it is quite a large cast.
Mm-hmm. And what I would do is I would immediately make it a thing about leadership dynamics. Like, definitely. Because they've lost a lot of faith in Rip Hunter, the guy who would be their de facto leader because he knows about time shit. But I would love to see, so you've got a very arrogant character who thus far I really don't like him, but I'm sure he'll be useful for plot wrinkles. Hawkman, I'm sure will try and step to the fore. Brandon Routh is so attractive. He should probably be the leader also. But I'd really like to see Captain Cole's, struggle with whether or not it seems like he almost wants to be a good guy at certain points. So I'm very excited to see if he makes any very villainous decisions where we all go, oh, but I thought that he was going to be nice now.
I didn't like this. But that's not surprising. It's not my fare. I'm not a big fan of, The Flash, the first one. Yeah, the first one was good fun because it was unique. And then I sort of got tired of that because it's about a guy who runs really fast. I don't see a whole season in it. And then Arrow, I just never thought the quality was there. And I think this is kind of the same quality as Arrow. But I know you like it, Mike. Mm-hmm. I'd say you like this.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if you like Arrow, I think you'd like this. Yeah. It seems like it's made in the same studio with the same people and the same writers.
Okay.
Well, it is some of the same writers, but I don't think it's Arrow though.
Because Arrow was something of an aberration.
It's not. It's not Arrow, but it's close enough that those who like Arrow will like this.
Okay,
is my point. Yeah,
I would agree with that, but I would also say, like, it has to differentiate itself, and the way that it has is it's not named after one person, right? It's named after a team. I think that will make it different enough that I'm not going to get tired of it. Mm-hmm. I think that was a good call. I'm excited, and also they're going to save the world and not just a city.
Okay.
Just saying, it's a different scale.
On my side, none of that matters really. No, but that's fair. That's fair enough. It's just I think you either like this stuff or you don't, and I think those that like it really like it.
Yeah. And Steve, you're not wrong. There's not a lot of substance there in that first episode, and I think Sean's nodding his head vigorously. He agrees, right? So we know a good TV show when we see one. This is probably not it, but it's so deep in our wheelhouse. Like, I'm speaking for me and Sean here.
Yeah.
We're probably going to keep watching it and give it a chance that other people that aren't that big into superheroes wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But for people that aren't into superheroes, there is Katie Lotz.
You said there was a lot of characters. Is there maybe 12 of them? And I don't know, they find a lorry load of monkey suits on the way back, or? No.
I'm sure 12 Monkeys will be back at some point, Mike, and we can talk about it then.
Okay, moving on. Do you want to give it a filler or thriller? I presume you two, if you're watching more, it'll be thriller.
See, I think people who go to watch this need to know what they're looking at. And I think we've given them a good taste for that. So if that's the kind of stuff you like, definitely watch it. If it's not, I wouldn't bother because it's not going to grab you in other ways. Oh, if you like Katie Lotz, definitely watch it. That alluring, crooked smile of hers is all over this show.
Is Katie Lotz?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Did someone see Dirty Grandpa?
No.
Or was that someone messing?
I haven't seen it, but I needed to put it on. I needed us to talk about it because the reviews for Dirty Grandpa are the best of my life. They will just like Google reviews Dirty Grandpa. I read on Twitter the other day and I forgot who said it, but it was saying that basically it has given film critics a carte blanche for allowing their creativity to flow in their hatred for this film.
Oh, really?
So I found one that I read that made me laugh, and I just wanted to read you some excerpts of their review of Dirty Grandpa.
Okay.
This is Sarah. Her website is called Cinesnark. I'll only read you a few excerpts. Dirty Grandpa is a brutal, soul-crushing exercise from which you will not walk away unscathed. Seeing this movie will change you. It will make you less than you were, for it will steal a part of your soul. We also have...
She's not dramatic
enough. Not in any way. The final product is so far removed from that glimmer of possibility as to render it nothing more than a cruel illusion, a fata morgana produced at minute 77 of this excruciating shit pile of moving images I call a movie in only the loosest of terms. Like, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
I think I'm going to have to see this.
I was just going to say, it sounds like it's right up your street.
It sounds like the movie equivalent of the Three Wolf Moon t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
You beat me to it, Mike. I was about to bring that up. The greatest Amazon review ever of the product, as most people probably know about it. Three Wolf shirt, I think it's called. Mike, I think you have one.
No, it's been on my buy list for a long time.
Yeah.
But I haven't yet felt worthy enough of wearing it. Although I'm reliably informed that it will actually give me the power to be worthy.
Yeah. So that is the thing. That is the greatness about Three Wolves on a shirt.
You know, the next shirt on his buy list just under it is the Celine Dion tour from '94. He's dying to rock.
There's actually there's a bunch of those outside the back of the Celine Dion theater here in Vegas. Like I could just grab you.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Just promise not to tell anybody, Sean. Okay.
One last thing
we definitely won't record this and send it out in an episode.
No, that would never happen.
I was going to say one last thing on Dirty Grandpa before we move on. Who knew that this terrible film would it would give me so much to say. But it has brought up interesting discussions on how much shit can Robert De Niro be in before we stop calling him this, like, legend of cinema.
Yeah.
You know, because... And this is the feminist angle again, but think about it. There are women who can make like two bad films and they're like, people would stop banking on them. They'd stop getting roles and people would shit on them. Robert De Niro
Meryl Streep
has been in a lot of crap. A lot, maybe more crap than good. I don't know. It depends, but he's been in a lot of bad stuff.
So
like
is
a
Nicolas
lot
Cage.
of bad stuff. Huh?
So is Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage was the other example in the article there.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
I forget who wrote the article. But it used Nicolas Cage as an example to like how Bob De Niro's catalog is really getting shitty. And we might need to have a discussion about it.
Oh, I gotta read that. Did you write that article and then go out and burn a few bras? Or... Go on, send it on.
I can't wear bras. I'm breastfeeding all the time. I'll find the article and I will tweet it to you.
Cool.
See, the problem with all those women that have, two bad movies and then their careers are over is they were never in the fucking Godfather. Sorry.
Fact. Or Heat.
All right, so Godfather and Heat.
Or Raging Bull, or Taxi Driver.
See, those are all early career wins for him. Like, has he been in anything
But
recently?
he has built up so much stock. He can actually make
Silver
an
Linings
infinite
Playbook.
number of shit movies.
Can women do the same?
If they had made Godfather,
Meryl
maybe.
Streep can.
Anyway,
I think it's a feature of the business, though. I think it's more like, let's say you make 1,000 films.
Right.
if you have made
Can we
1,000
say we
films
made 100
and-
films just so we can work in percentiles? I can easily.
Okay. So you've made 100 films, right? Let's say you've made 100 films.
Okay.
Even if 50 of those are shitty, chances are those aren't going to be talked about as much because people talk about great films and the worst ever films. But shitty films, they don't talk about all that much. Also, if you deliver in those films, if you deliver 5 performances that have made it into the cultural zeitgeist of the West, not just in film, but just pop culture.
Yeah.
Like how many TV shows or movies or songs have referenced Robert De Niro? Literally just Robert De Niro or any of the parts that he has ever played. You know? Probably a lot more than that.
6.
What I'm saying is, I think if you have, like, if you're building yourself, some kind of, like, career monument, you only need a couple of pieces. And then you can actually cover it in shit and it'll still look fairly okay.
Wow.
I guess my argument is that maybe Robert De Niro as an example of men being given that pass that women aren't given. I think they're
Oh,
kind
no,
of
no, no,
critiqued a
no.
lot
No,
more
I
heavily.
don't think that's true.
Oh, come on.
I can think of plenty of actresses that are around that are way past their sell-by date. Like Robert De Niro is.
Meryl Streep.
But we said it. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
but like
We don't talk about Meryl Streep on this show.
For good reason.
all right.
Do you want to know something really depressing?
I don't, Mike. No, not coming from you.
Back in the 80s, there was a song that took over the charts called Robert De Niro's Waiting by Bananarama.
Right.
And it was so huge. It was the biggest song on the planet at the time.
Wait, do you remember what year of 1980s this was?
No.
No,
I'm gonna
No.
Google this while you tell me your story.
But
too old. He was going to
they were temporarily the most famous band on the planet. And they were an all-girl band. And, that was really great for them. And
Jesus, Mike.
and now they're disbanded and forgotten. And Robert De Niro is still here making shit movies.
Okay, Bananarama is not forgotten. Number one. And okay, that was released in 1984. For the record, I was 3.
There you go.
I was 3 years old.
The
when that
number
came
of songs that Robert De Niro's mentioned in. So, I watched a kind of a really short ad basically for DC stuff. It was called The Making of the Justice League or something like that. The Dawn of the Justice League. The Dawn of the Making of the League of Justice. Some combination of those words, which was essentially a preview
Dawn
of
the Justice League. Yeah.
the Dawn of the Justice League, which is a preview of all of the DC movies that are coming up. They mentioned the TV, but they were very focused on film. So, as we mentioned last week, Batman vs. Superman is out this year, and it's out on the same day that Daredevil Season 2 drops on Netflix. So now it's actually become Batman vs. Superman versus Daredevil versus Punisher. in some kind of really complicated 4-way. So they were mainly building more hype for that. And then it was 2 guys talking where one guy would say something, the other guy would go, "Oh my God, that's so amazing. Tell me more." Then the other guy would tell him about another film and he'd go, "Oh my God, that's even more amazing." And it continued on like this for 20 minutes. It was the greatest waste of time I've ever seen in my life. The only thing that was in it was there was a new trailer for the Suicide Squad that dropped with that show, which is really good. They talked a lot about the Suicide Squad actually, which is quite interesting. And they had the girl that plays Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Margot. Remember I was talking about
she's
this
been in
earlier.
stuff, hasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
She was in The Wolf of Wall Street.
And The Big Short.
She's in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
That's right.
Coming out soon.
Yeah.
WTF.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, the Suicide Squad trailer was good. The footage of Doomsday that they showed, Wonder Woman, was interesting. They talked about the Justice League movie. They talked about there's a couple of sound bites from Ben Affleck and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it was really terrible TV. It was essentially an ad, but I suppose it gave us something vaguely newsworthy, maybe.
Okay. Speaking of which, let's go to the news.
That's how you drop a segue, folks.
The Oscars row. We need to address this. We haven't been talking about this.
Just the racial
hashtag
aspects.
Oscars so white.
It's not just that. It's the gender balance as well is an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not diverse enough. It's white guys.
So reporters spoke to thousands of Academy members and their representatives to confirm the identities of more than 5,100 voters. More than 89% of the voting members. Right? So they found that Oscar voters are nearly 94% white and 77% male. Black members make up about 2% and Latino less than 2%. They have a median age of 62. People younger than 50 constitute just 14%. Some of the Academy's 15 branches are almost exclusively white and male. Whites currently make up 90% or more of every Academy branch except actors whose membership is 88% white. Right? And men make up more than 90% of 5 branches, including cinematography and visual effects. Right.
Check your privilege, Oscars.
First question.
Yes.
Does that split map to the split of people working in the industry?
That's a very good question. And I think the Economist article this week examined that to see if, what do you call it, it works out, you know, and I think it was pretty close, wasn't it?
It was very close for the black population.
Yeah, it's Asian and Latino don't
Yeah,
quite make
they got fucked over royally.
Yeah, so the Academy is going to try and address this, apparently.
Yeah.
So they've made a couple of changes.
See,
Now, this isn't like they're not putting in like what are they trying to do in the Dáil at the moment? Where the quotas,
Sell the country down the river.
where they're trying to have like gender quotas in the government here at the moment.
Oh yeah, you don't get any party funding if you don't have enough women on the ticket.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what its goal, the Academy said, is to double the number of women and diverse members of the Academy by 2020. So the women will comprise 48% of the organisation and diverse groups will make up 14% of total membership. It said it would review each member's voting status every 10 years as well. You know the way you're now you're in for life, right? So members who are active in the film industry will have the voting rights renewed for another 10 years. But only members who have held voting rights for 3 tenure terms or who have been nominated for or won an Oscar will be granted lifetime voting rights. Yeah. So I also noticed that it's not just, I know it's been accused of being racist and so on, but there's been a lot of talk on this. Like you mentioned there, Mark, maybe the numbers, you know, they don't fit as badly when you take not just the population numbers, but those in the industry. It's not as bad as it looks initially. But then, what was it, Charlotte, what's her name, the English actress? Well, she sort of said, well, maybe they just didn't, you know, they just weren't good enough to get voted in this year. You know, that could be the case as well.
It happens.
You know? It happens, exactly, yeah. But that's not I mean, it is a whitewash at the moment. But
so let's.
But I also noticed that in the foreign language movie category, that of those nominated, only 2 are not from Europe. So I thought that was quite continentalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Of all of the Oscars
really
diversity issues, you're going to pick on continentalism.
Thank you, Shona.
I just thought
when he
I'd slip
started
that in
saying
because it's
the
not just
international, when he mentioned that category, I went, for fuck's sake, Steve.
Well,
I only put it in there because I knew it was.
Is it not more of an issue that no woman has ever won Best Actor?
So last year, there was effectively a whitewash as well. And the big problem people had with that, with no on-screen talent of any like ethnic background being nominated, really, the big problem people had with that was that we had films like Selma come out and get pretty much ignored.
That's because it was shit.
Okay, we're going to move past that for now. The point I was trying to make was this year, you could try and make the argument that there weren't that many films featuring people, besides Straight Outta Compton, I suppose, featuring people that, you know, maybe could or would have gotten nominated. However, that's a fucking problem.
Yes.
And also, just because the population of people working right now and the population of the Oscar nominations, while still askew, is slightly less so, still a problem. I actually just started teaching again for the semester, and I like to give my kids some articles on stuff. We did an article called "If You Hate Ewoks but Like the Return of the Jedi, You Understand Feminist Criticism." Because it's basically an article going, you're allowed to like things, critique certain parts of them for any reason, really, including feminist reasons, and then not worry about being painted as a polarizing figure, i.e. feminists are man-haters. I think it's really important that we go, hey, why not fix it in this industry in particular? By it, I guess I mean racial and gender imbalance. Because it could be most easily fixed in this industry. In politics, it would take how long to get actually equal representation? The process is ongoing and they're working on it, but because of the way politics works, the length of terms people are elected for, et cetera, it's going to take a long time. If you wanted, any studio could greenlight 20 shows
with more
of any type and immediately diversify and make more equal their representation on their network. There's no reason it couldn't happen. The Academy could have just gone, okay, we're going to look at everyone's lifetime memberships now and immediately remove people who shouldn't be in it instead of waiting 10 years.
If you took that approach and you leveled out the Academy, would that still solve the problem of there being no good movies for the demographic that you're trying to empower?
No.
No, but I'm saying this is something they could do. Also, you could make movies if you wanted, featuring people of any background, and yet people don't for some reason.
No. Well, okay. We're talking about American movies. Yeah, okay.
What podcast is this?
It's the American Academy, isn't it? Yeah.
This is your fault, Steve.
I know.
You did this to us.
I knew this would be a good discussion. Yeah.
Yeah,
this important conversation is your fault, Steve.
Yeah.
But so, once again, I'm reminded of how intellectually inferior I am to all the rest of you, right? But are we trying to say that, well, actually, Mike, are you saying that the films with racially diversified people in it, whatever the fuck that means, aren't as good as the ones with white people in them?
No, I'm saying that this year they weren't.
Right, that's a perfectly fine thing to say. Whether it's true or not.
And
right?
My ears are bleeding listening to it.
And what I would further say is, you say, the industry is all against us and everything.
I actually really think we should stop this conversation.
No, I want to hear what you have to say.
Before we go so far that I stop listening to this podcast.
I want to hear what you were going to say then.
I think Sean already very eloquently outlined how I feel about things, which is that the fact that Mark's point at the films that we're seeing may or may not map to the population that's in Hollywood is bullshit reasoning, just because the impetus is there that maybe we need to have more diversity in Hollywood. I think it's a fairly well-known fact that Hollywood studio execs are old white men, which is exactly what we're seeing the representation in the Oscars. So just because that's what maybe...
But they're going to die, though.
Maybe that's what the current demographic is in Hollywood doesn't mean it should stay that way. I think that there certainly needs to be more diversity. And the fact that we're not seeing more nominations or even more things get made that represents diverse populations.
So look, we're just talking about the Academy here, right? Because Robert Redford...
Everyone wants to get in.
No, just...
Hear me out.
Those white guys really are forcing their agenda of having white guys be in every movie. I agree.
It must be so hard on them.
Technology has moved on. The market has moved on. If people want to see other kinds of movies, they will vote with their feet and go see movies that are made by independent people. You can get a camera for cheap now.
Star Wars, Force Awakens, featuring 2 minority leads, is the most profitable movie of all time.
There you go.
People do.
So
make more...
No. You are assuming that Hollywood is the only place you can make movies.
So are you saying that if we want diversity, that we basically...
Look at Bollywood.
We don't have any right to Hollywood?
Bollywood is hugely successful. And,
it's the biggest market in the world.
It's the biggest market in the world.
You did this, Steve.
It's a classic example.
You did this.
We don't like this Hollywood crap. We'll go out and make our own stuff.
So Mike, honestly, are you saying that if you're not an old white man and you still want to see movies, you have to like Bollywood or leave the party?
I'm saying make your own. The world is free.
Okay. So I don't...
Except Except all of the things that would help someone make their own films, any avenue you could go down to try and do that, it will be more difficult if you are a minority.
But we've
shit
talked
was worth
about
something, poor people be born without assholes.
I mean, we've talked about this over and over about how Hollywood standards are going down decade by decade. There's less creativity. There's less fucking entertainment.
Yeah.
It's all remakes, reboots, total shit rehash.
That was our most
all the
worrying
time.
trend, I believe, wasn't it?
So they want to make money.
So
And they're making
the only
money
reason
from
they're
it, yeah.
making money is because people want to see that crap. If you personally, A, want to make a movie like that, you can. If you, B, want to see a movie like that, you can watch something that Shona made. You know, the possibility is there. It's up to people themselves to stop worrying
Your
about...
argument is illogical.
Stop worrying about somebody from above sorting your fucking problems out. Go out and do it yourself.
No, I think you've got your logic inversed there,
How
Mike.
so?
Because you're saying that if you don't want to see that stuff, go do it yourself. But the whole point is that there is no other options. There's nothing else getting made.
The
you can't
indie
kind of
industry
go-
is huge at the lower level. And the reason it's stuck at the lower level is because there's no funding at the higher level. And the reason there's no funding at the higher level is because people won't go and watch those movies. Why don't they go and watch those movies?
I disagree with you.
They would. What are you talking
They
about?
don't have superheroes in them.
There you go. I mean, you can say that, you know, the Hollywood guys have the advantage of CGI and making shit look cool. Any fucking 10-year-old kid can download CGI programs free off the internet now and make shit look cool.
Sean,
it's there.
Sean, you'll be representing Is It a Bicycle at the Sundance Festival later this week, won't you?
Yes, indeed. I
keep
surely will.
Could you keep an eye on this very subject for us? This point that Mike has brought up, because there tends to be the more independent, not a lower budget, but a blockbuster budget. At Sundance.
I'll be very interested to see what kind of representation we have there. I mean, I'm actually very much looking forward to it for that reason, because one of the films I'm going to see, Yoga Hosers, is some young up-and-comers.
Is that Canadian?
I don't
Because
know.
the word hoser is in the title.
Yeah, that's the Canadian one. Some people who struck out on their own and really wanted, to make their own point, and happened to have Johnny Depp and Kevin Smith as their dads. So I'm excited to see how, these people who can come out of nowhere and make these movies for themselves do at Sundance.
Cool.
Are Irish people aware of that Canadian term, hoser?
As in trousers?
No, like you're a hoser. Mike's a hoser. No.
Thanks, Shona.
We're going to get hosed if we don't move on, I think,
It's
to
not,
something
no.
to review.
A hoser is like when you're like a loser. I love you, Mike.
Thanks,
Like,
Shona.
don't be a hoser. It's Canadian.
Hoser can be... it doesn't matter.
That's how I knew that was a Canadian film. Anyways.
Okay. So sorry about that, Mark.
I deliberately avoid all talk of current affairs, and you force me to listen. This is exactly why I shouldn't have opened my mouth, right? Because I feel at least partially qualified to talk about TV and film because I watch a lot of both, but I haven't seen the news since I left home when I was 18. So I'm eminently underqualified to talk about anything going on in the real world.
Okay, so speaking of not in the real world, tell us a bit about the fifth wave.
The fifth wave. Earth is under attack by an alien spaceship, and it has if you think of the wave like the plagues in the Bible, it's kind of the same thing. So the first wave is earthquakes. The second wave is pestilence. You're looking puzzled at me, Steve. Have I said something amiss?
It was the first wave earthquakes?
It was, yeah.
Okay. I thought that was the second wave. Sorry.
What was the first wave?
I'm trying to remember.
First wave was earthquake. Second wave, power went out, right?
No, the other way
Third
around.
wave,
It's the other way around.
water.
No, Steve is right.
Yeah.
Steve is right. I'm sorry,
I
Steve.
knew there was something before the earthquake.
EMP was the first wave. Then there was earthquakes. Then there was pestilence in the form of a modified avian flu. The fourth wave, someone want to help me out?
Wasn't it a very, very big wave?
I thought one of them was like tidal waves. Coastal areas was the second wave.
That was the water. That was the effect of the earthquakes.
A bunch of shit happens to people.
Shitload of
That's
waves. Yeah,
terrible.
Anyway, to make a long story short, this story starts at the fifth wave, which is like aliens taking over. And then it goes back to tell us about all those other waves, which is why we have such a contentious debate about what they are, because they did such a great job. And then they come back up to the fifth wave and the story kicks off from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure did. Yeah. I nearly didn't make it past 10 minutes.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I dug my heels
I was
in.
about to say, could the person with the most enthusic review please start? But I
Yeah.
feel like there was just be
I don't think it's
pause.
me. Sean, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's enthusiastic because I had a good time watching the film.
All right, that's something.
So, right. The best part of this movie is the sound mixing. They did a great job with the sound mixing. Honest to God, whenever those Oscars come up, I'm always like, I don't know what that means.
Talk
but
about
now I
damning
do.
with faint praise.
It was because it was just really well done with the noises of the various waves and the humans and animals and guns and things. It mixed together very well. It was very effective in its like when the sounds got loud and when it got quiet.
So it's very rarely that I would say this about a film, but if Shakespeare was alive today, this is the screenplay he would have written.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Did he write Twilight as well? No?
I think so. I believe that was it.
So I really enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it from start to finish.
No way. You serious?
Well, I have to tell you what I feel,
Okay,
Steve.
tell me why. I'm
Our
intrigued.
listeners are paying us nothing to hear my opinion,
Okay.
not lies about it.
I'm intrigued.
So, in the back of my mind, in my subconscious, I could hear you laughing at me.
Yes, very loudly.
And I often
Very
hear
angry
that.
at you, actually, yeah.
As I go about my daily life, or when I'm in a conversation and someone mentions something about a car or a piece of current affair, which I think is what the singular is,
Correct.
I again hear you going, "Oh my God, Mark, why don't you know these things?" So there was an element of a little Steve, angel or devil, your choice, sitting on my shoulder going, "How the fuck are you enjoying this?" But I just continued to do so for the duration of the film. So there's a couple of things I liked. First of all, there was a lot of tension around the survival of the key characters, right? I was worried about them all the way through. And I know that having to save your younger brother, younger sister, kid, whatever, is cliche as could be.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't draw you in. And they had a couple of really good shots. Now, the writing had a couple of missteps. In that it was predictable almost to a fault. But they did that a little bit on purpose, because there's a couple of quote unquote twists, but they foreshadowed all of them so that you could kind of half have an idea what was coming. And then when it would come, you go, I knew that, and feel smart. And that so rarely happens to me. So it was very gratifying in that sense too. I thought the female lead, whose name I don't know,
Chloe Moretz.
she was good. I thought that the prettier the people were around her, the worse they were at acting. Liv Schreiber was good, but he'd nothing for doing. The guy that played Evan, who was, I think, the best looking of them all, was poor. Very poor. Mm. And the guy who was slightly less good looking that she was at school with, he actually wasn't bad. So there seems to be an inverse relationship between attractiveness and acting ability. But it kept me hooked.
I think Mark Leonardo DiCaprio would beg to differ.
I have very
going back to last week.
His attractiveness. But no, to be honest, right? The film had a great score. It was all pop culture stuff, all like modern day music. But it was good. It was toe tapping good. And as Sean has already mentioned, the sound effects were really good. When explosions were going off and there was gunfire, it was really, it was like visceral, like you felt like they were whizzing by your head.
Okay,
you know?
now you're taking the piss. Seriously.
I'm actually not. So look, I enjoyed it.
The explosions were fine.
Edge of my seat, right to the end. Really enjoyed it. Edge of my seat. Can't wait for the sixth wave.
Oh my God. Really?
Also, there was an image of the bear. There was a teddy bear that represented the child's innocence.
Yeah.
It was very well written, I thought. That's some clever writing.
He's totally taking a mick out of me.
I'm not. I'm just telling you how I feel.
Oh man. Mike.
Fair enough, it probably missed out on some diversity, but apart from that.
Absolute horseshit. really was.
Oh, Steve, really?
I know, really.
Did it deserve its 12A rating?
I'd watch all the Twilight movies.
Was
back to
there
back,
anybody that
rather than watch
nearly
the series.
cursed? Or maybe some people that nearly kissed?
Oh yeah, there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of
Some people that nearly got hurt, but you didn't see the blood.
there's almost a bit of texting, except then they got an EMP fired, so that didn't happen. And then there's the inevitable. There's the family death. The mother dies. It's just like, oh great.
Oh.
Then the family gets split up. Oh great, didn't see that coming. And it goes on and on. It's just like I hate.
It's so heart-wrenching.
I have to go and find my brother
Heart-wrenching.
across this thing where all these people are going to aliens and people are dead.
Imagine if there was snow all over the planet and they had to go across the snow
That's it.
to find the kid.
Yeah, no, we don't. This was terrible.
Also
it's
heart-wrenching.
really terrible. It's really terrible. It's just don't go fucking near it. No,
The dialogue's horrific. Like, okay, let's start running down the list of things. The dialogue's horrific. The acting is very poor. Like the best the acting gets is fine. It's so predictable that at certain points I would like lean over to the person I was watching it with, and I just went, "He's going to be mostly naked now," and then like. For sure, someone would see someone being naked, and then I would be like, "This is going to be a love triangle in 3, 2, 1. It's a love triangle now." Like, there's a lot of shit like that it's just so. It's very blatant. It's very, very expecting. And I actually disagree with Mark. I think that the twist that they had would have been great, but they let the audience in just slightly. The audience finds out. Any reasonable human being finds out just before I think they'd rather what's going on. That element of the plot was good. Sure, cool. I don't think that they really handled the import of it. I didn't see any real character development from it, which is kind of like, why are you doing it then? And I don't know, I thought the fights were fine, but there weren't enough of them. Like, I watched this with someone who I thought this was just going to be like all fighting and shooting throughout. And I think they might have gotten away with an all right score from me, if that's what it was. Because the opening scene is tense. It's a very basic, like, I don't know if I can trust you. Like classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers type thing.
Yeah.
That I liked. And then it brings you back to like YA, young adult, tween, high school. And I'm like, oh, it's only going to be like this for a second. And then it's going to get fucking visceral. It's going to get like, shit's going to get real. But then after an hour, it just kind of stayed high school.
It had never recovered, had it?
Yeah, it just stayed high school.
Initially, I thought, oh, this mightn't be too bad. The dialogue's a bit shit and the acting's a bit shit, but it mightn't be too bad. And then they went back to the high school thing. And I was just...
Was there dancing?
It never came out of it. It fell into that hole and never came out of it. Was it what?
Was there dancing? Like... Click your fingers.
It also looks like a video game. There's a certain element of the visual style that is also plot relevant, so I can't talk about it, but it looked like a video game for a fair chunk of action sequence in the second act towards the end.
Yeah, did you?
Like, it looked like I was playing Metroid Prime. Like, seriously, I just felt like I was going pew, 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 pew. Anyone who sees the movie and has played Metroid Prime, you know what I mean. It's the exact same.
Well, I'm ready to mark it.
Me too. Not much to talk about.
Mark.
I'm going to give it a 6. Can't wait for the sequel.
Sean.
I would give it a 3, but that sound was mixed very well. I'm going to give it a 4.
I think this is the lowest mark I've ever given anything. Even on the B movie scale.
You're only doing this to hurt me, Steve.
No.
Hit us with
No,
the Steve. Come on.
I mean, you can't give a movie a 0.
Yeah. Careful now, you can't take this back. So think carefully before you do it.
But it's a solid 1.
Wow.
Solid 1 out of 10. I really don't go near it. If you want a crap movie that's good, go and see Tremors 5. Did you know that's out, Mike?
No.
Yeah, and they're talking about Tremors 6 with Kevin Bacon returning.
Excellent.
Yeah,
No way.
Yeah, I know.
He'll definitely be dancing.
There we're talking about shit movies that are good. You see, the other one, no way. God,
Shit's
it was
good.
awful waste of my
Shit
life. Yeah. So anyway,
If they put spiders and earthquakes together, That'd be a great movie.
Spider-Quick.
Spider-Quake. Yeah, I think we've had that one. haven't we?
Torrential Avalanche.
Yeah, we had that one too. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so next up we had the first of our TV, which is Angie Tribeca. Who wants to tell us about this? Shona, do you want to tell us about this?
Angie Tribeca is a new sitcom starring Rashida Jones as a cop, and there are hijinks.
Well said, Sean. Well said.
So it's a parody comedy on
Thank you,
cop
Steve.
shows. Is
I
that
think
what
maybe
you
you should have introduced the show.
mean? No, you
Angie Tribeca is a parody comedy based
No, you don't
on...
have to repeat what I just said. It's just no, your first bit was fine.
No, you can just edit it to make me sound like I was smart the first
All
time.
right, go. I promise I'll let it go on. Yeah, so this is sort of the your favorite kind of comedy, isn't it? Stupid humor.
Is she the new girl, or who is she, the lead?
No, I remember you giving out about this a few weeks ago. What did we watch? What was it? What was the movie we watched a few weeks ago?
No, I just...
Vacation.
Between,
That was it.
between Mark
That's what
calling me the Hamburgler, Mike insulting me with every opinion he had about Oscar's diversity, and now you telling me that this is the kind of humor I like because it's stupid. I'm feeling so good about myself.
It's okay. You see,
okay.
Canadians just don't get sarcasm. Yeah,
But at
okay.
least you don't have baby vomit on you.
And don't worry,
nail
Shona,
the
next week
coffin.
I'm having a party and I'm going to invite you.
You're totally going to invite
Is
me.
that a party
Yeah.
for two? No, anyway.
Be careful, Sean. It's probably his pants party. He has it every night.
So
I bet he only
anyway,
invites
this,
white people to that party.
So Angie Tribeca is so far into slapstick that there's almost no recovery. So it's ridiculously slapstick.
it is.
But there's-
Every single line is kind of like a, hey, get this viewer? Hey.
I'd like to point out it's written by Steve Carell and his wife.
I know.
Yeah, and they've done 2 seasons already.
Expectations were high.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of like this stuff. I used to love Police Squad. I used to love Naked Gun. All,
Yeah, it's right
Hammer
there.
and all that kind of stuff. But just this, I don't know why it just didn't make, well, I do know why, but it just didn't make it to that. They just got a little bit too silly and the dialogue was a little bit too flaky and a little bit awkward in places, but there was a lot of it laughed at, but I don't think it's
Did
as
you
strong.
give me
I
one
was hoping
example
it
of
was
something
stronger.
you laughed at?
The dog, where they just, the dog is partnered up with this guy.
He's got his own badge.
He's got his own badge, and they treat him like a human, And I just thought
Everything
that
he
was
does
hilarious.
is the same as the rest of the guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The dog was
He wears a
holding the
towel.
punch bag in the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He had a
This is
towel
brilliant.
around him.
I thought that was very funny.
See, I think that sounds funnier than it actually was to watch. Because watching it, you're just like, oh, isn't that hilarious? The dog is just
Oh, no.
another partner.
I laughed.
It was a bit funny when the two lads took their shirts off and started pinching each other's nipples.
Did you really think that was funny? When they were
A bit.
grappling on the
It was
lawn?
a bit funny, like.
And what about when her partner went into the elevator?
You thought that was funny?
That wasn't funny, mate. That was fucking telegraphed.
Now,
laughing.
there's an open now. They take the piss out of CSI, all the cop shows really.
Police
Yeah.
procedural.
Yeah, actually, do you know when your man was shouting? Do you know she takes off the shades or puts on the shades and says something, and a guy starts screaming, going, "Yeah!" like CSI Miami used to do. And I was going, "Is that CSI Miami?" And then it cut back, and the guy stopped shouting. And I went, "That's clever, though. That's clever." But most of the humor isn't clever, though.
No,
Like,
it's not.
when they're
It's
sitting
very,
there
very
chatting-
obvious humor.
When they're chatting to the widower, and she starts by offering out like a fairy cake, and then it's a donut,
Lisa
and then it's
Kudrow.
ribs.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, before her,
Yeah.
she's pretty bad too.
They actually exactly they played out those jokes that went a little bit too far with them. If they
Went on too long.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they,
Yeah, Sean mentioned Lisa Kudrow. Phoebe from Friends is
Oh,
in it,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
that's
Phoebe was going on about how she'd seen the
Yeah.
mayor's pee-pee, and it was just wasn't funny the first
She's
time.
like, I know
and then
him
she said it
intimately.
4
And they're
more
like,
times.
oh, do you? And then she's just like, I've seen his nether regions, the bikini region, his pee-pee. And the joke is that she gets more and more explicit, trying to be like evasive, but it's not really that funny.
But this is the
But
Family
the
Guy
joke
thing.
is that she didn't see his pee-pee.
Yes.
Spoiler.
We've said like pee-pee 3 times in this episode now, and that is 3 times too many.
I like
Wiener.
that. It's okay.
Dong.
Well, it's like, if you're into that kind of humor, maybe I've like, it's not really my style. I think that there were some saving graces to it, but I don't think I'd ever watch it again. Like,
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Actually, one thing I did pick up on throughout the season, you know, the introduction where it has her doing her training montage at home in the house, and you know, she's doing the boxing and all the rest, and then she starts trashing.
She destroys the apartment.
She destroys it, and then all the lads are, you know, walking in with their paintbrushes and stuff, you know, waiting for her to come out. Well, apparently she does something a little bit different at the start of every episode.
Okay.
So to mix it up, so then that becomes the joke. Rather than
so it's like the Simpsons openings then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the couch gag.
So they do a few things like that, you know, that are running gags, let's say. Yeah.
Right.
So
I would like to. Oh, sorry, I don't want to interrupt anybody.
No, go ahead.
But I would like to argue that there's a couple of different styles of humor in this. There is the really obnoxious, obvious, like pratfall slapstick fart joke, you know, toilet humor. That's one level. Sure, they have a lot of jokes like that. Then the next layer is they have, here's dumb, absurdist stuff.
Yeah.
And the next level then is the actual satire, not just of police procedurals, but of, in particular, police procedurals, but also TV writing. Like the idea that at one point she has a bag of weapons and she, at the start of the show, she throws that at like a dummy to practice.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the way that she catches the bad guys is foreshadowed earlier on in the episode.
Yeah.
I really do like, because when that happened, I was like, what the fuck? Like, their thing is that they're going to keep going. Like, yes, they will tell jokes sometimes too many times, but they're going to keep just pushing it until it gets to the point where they can do anything. Like, you know, like when she beats up the partner and his face is destroyed. Like, I like the landscape they've created to hang jokes on. The first episode, the pilot, I think might be too much about here's how we're doing this. Yeah. Here's what this is. I'd be very excited to see what they do in like episode 2 to see if they actually are like, we're going to keep pushing this and we don't have to tell you everything that's going to happen now. We're just going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is badly done. I really wanted this to be, especially with Steve Carell and Rashida Jones, I thought this would be my type of humor. I would say contrary to Steven's assessment of my preference.
I knew you didn't like stupid humor. That's what I said at the very start.
This is way too obvious, and it's not funny obvious. I think if they did kind of less of like the hey viewer, you in on this? Hey! But the whole show is based on the viewer being in on the joke, but it makes it there's no other writing except for like, hey, you guys. There was actually a running, every time there was a car scene, www.ford.com showed at the bottom of the screen.
And it was a different model each time.
It was a different car every time, yeah.
I didn't get that was a joke. I actually had to check if that's how American TV works now. I'm like, wow, do they show websites now when they use product placement? I didn't get that was a joke. I didn't even laugh.
They were different cars.
Yeah.
Every time, yeah.
Yeah, there was one red, one white.
All different models.
One big one. One medium big
not
one.
once did I notice the
like
model
the cops drive different cars every time they got into a car?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Everyone, yeah.
Did not
New
notice.
Ford model for you to check out. Maybe you should go to Ford.com and see if they have one of these available.
I mean, they go into somebody's house in a white car and then come out and get into a red car.
Didn't notice.
Ford.com.
I think it's a bad sign if this humor is so stupid and yet it goes over my head. Because I didn't get any of that.
For the show, though, is it?
I have to say that joke is a lot funnier now than it was at the time. But, you know, when you're thinking back on it, you go, oh yeah, that was great.
I just thought that was how product placement worked in American television now. Okay. I honestly didn't even get it was a joke. There was one time I laughed in the episode, and I can't even remember what it was that made me laugh. Once I laughed. Mostly I thought it was stupid.
Okay. So, filler?
I'm so disappointed.
Filler for you?
But I hear that Rashida Jones has had 2 pilots picked up that she's co-written with Amy Poehler, so I will watch those.
Okay.
Filler on this one for me.
Filler. Mike?
I was never a really big Rashida Jones fan. Uh-huh. Until I saw this, and now she is my new favorite person in the whole universe. This is the funniest thing I've seen in fucking years. I laughed my ass off from start to finish.
Really, yeah.
And I mean, I'll put it out there. I'm a proud defender of lowest common denominator humor. I love the fact that they were so obvious. I love the fact that they just kept hammering the same joke home over and over. Is it funny yet? Oh, you probably think it's not so funny now. Yeah, let's do it again. Yeah, now it's funny. Yeah.
I think maybe next week, Mike, when I come over to this party you're inviting me to, maybe we'll watch the episode again because I might find it funny watching somebody else laugh at it.
Maybe. Yeah, I just thought it was a fantastic parody of every shitty cop procedural crap that we've watched for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
50 years even.
I believe it even goes into like Bond as well. It takes a make out of Bond.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like the movies aren't safe either, you know. So.
It was even the whole shit
joke.
What?
The parkour joke where it was a very obvious stuntman being replacing and the unnecessary parkour. And the run your man was doing where he just kind of like threw his arms and walked quickly.
I mean, you have to point out the cast. That was probably the best ensemble of TV cast members ever put together.
Really?
Yeah, like, if you look through it, there are people from V.
Oh, really?
You know, people from
Sharknado.
You know, virtually everybody in this, you look at them and say,
from Good
I
Wife.
remember. Yeah, he was in that. I can't remember his name, but I know his face. You know,
truly, these actors have worked before.
Was that Felicity Smoke who was the CSI expert
from Arrow?
Felicity Smoke from Arrow.
Monica Scully.
What about her?
Was that her in this?
Oh no, I probably would have. I would like to think that I would have made a very loud squee if I noticed that happen.
So I take it as Thriller then, Mike.
Yes, if you have, you know, no standards or morals or really any sort of redeeming qualities about your personality, you would fucking love this show, as I did, and it's a thriller for me.
Okay, all right, Mark.
Oh, it's filler for me, Steve. I laughed a couple of times, but nothing like the amount of times I'd need to watch this again.
Sean.
Thriller. Angie Tribeca. She fights crimes and sometimes stops to work out in between working out. It's a theme song I'm trying to get on the show.
Keep working.
I think you'll probably appreciate when you see the podcast posted this week because the dog we talked about is in it.
Let me see. What am I going to? Yeah, I'm going to watch episode 2. Mm-hmm. Because I want to see how many of these jokes repeat. And like you said, Sean,
runners,
I want to see if the runners and I'm not spoon-fed. This is why you should laugh at this, you know. So it might rescue itself. But if they keep doing look, this is why it's funny, and here's another reason, and here's another reason. Yeah, if they keep doing that, I don't think I'll watch any more of it. But I'll give it another chance. So based on that, I'll give it a thriller then. But like I said, it's nowhere near as strong as Police Squad or Sledgehammer. You know, that was just so classic.
They should bring Sledgehammer back.
You know, it only ran for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
It was the 2 best years of my life.
Great final episode, that show as well.
Yeah.
The nuke.
Yeah. Okay, next up we've got the second of our movies, which is Room. Who wants to tell us about Room?
The Room?
Room is a movie with a strong Irish presence. We have Lenny Abraham as director, who's an Irishman, starring Brie Lawson, who plays Mama, or Ma, I think. It tells the story of a woman who was captured by a man and locked up in his shed in the back garden over several years. Due to a rape, she has a child, and it's the story of Ma raising the boy in this solitary confinement, unbeknownst to the rest of the world, and their eventual escape, which is how they're promoting it. They are including that information in their promotion.
It's not a spoiler.
No, it's not a spoiler. So it tells the story of how they get out and how this boy, who's only lived in a room that's quite small with his mother, adjusts to life in the real world. There we go. Adapted from the book by the Irish writer Emma O'Donoghue, called Room.
I see it's made in conjunction with the Irish Film Board and
In Canada Film Board, we had a lot of Canadian. The little boy, is it Michael Tremblay? It's Canadian. It's filmed in a few Canadian places. So Canadian-Irish presence.
I have to say, he was fantastic.
I've heard.
And another...
I'm going to see this tomorrow, so I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing this first thing in the morning. It's the mom and baby film tomorrow, so I will bawl my eyes through it. Note to self, do not wear mascara tomorrow.
The screaming. He was fantastic. It was another movie where I was, actually delighted to see that they've sorted out child actors, it seems. He was really good. Like I was saying in Theeb earlier, he I believe that he was...
Has never lived anywhere except for this room, doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Do you know, every interview I've listened to with Lenny Abraham and with Brie Larson, when people have commented on what a good child actor he is, both of them, and actually anyone in the cast, has the first thing that they've responded to that by is saying it's actually down to Lenny Abraham, the director, coaxing these performances out of the kid, kind of talking to him like he would talk to his own 8-year-old son, and getting him to try different situations, so that the child is kind of never really aware when he's acting in a scene of kind of what the bigger picture is, what the story is being told, because you don't want to traumatize a kid about what he's doing. So the director had to come up with all these scenarios and kind of games to get this performance out of him. So anytime anyone is complimenting this kid on his acting in interviews with the adult people involved in this film, they all compliment that performance down to the director.
Wow, because I just noticed that not all scenes that he's in are short.
Really?
Yeah. So he's got a lot for doing, let's say, in this movie. Yeah.
They had to do something similar with Regan in The Exorcist, because she was quite young, obviously, filming that, and they couldn't tell the poor kid what the hell she was in.
How do you get the performance without letting them know what they're doing?
Yeah, Jesus, because that's definitely not one you want to film a kid in on.
But apparently Room doesn't really focus on the very dark context, let's say, of how she got into the room,
No. Yep.
I think
this
that
story
makes
is
it all the
told
more
through
darker.
the eyes of the child.
Yes. Sorry, Mark. Thank you.
If it wasn't, it would have been too horrifying to be shown on TV. Like, absolutely. Children have a great way of creating, I guess, their own worlds, and it's part of letting their imaginations run wild, right? So he was trapped in a small room. He didn't know any different. His mother had created a scenario to tell him where he didn't worry about it. So he got up every day and he was in his room. He didn't expect any different. He didn't know there was anything else to worry about. So he just got on with it. And that was all that saved the audience from the horror of their predicament, because every so often you get a voiceover from the kid and you go, well, he's actually okay, and then you would think that, well, she's in there with him. So she's, maybe it's not as bad as you think because they've got each other. But had they told any of that story from the point of view of the mother, I barely made it through it as it was. It was just so heart-wrenching, all of it. I cried more or less for 2 hours, 10 minutes watching this film. And then, a good film, makes you think, which is something I really try and avoid, on the main. But this, cause I'm not a dad for very long, and you can't help but go, imagine if you're in that room now and you're trapped, and when you put away all the stuff, well, I'd totally hammer that guy and get out. And you go, but let's say you were trapped in a room and you couldn't, oh my God, the sheer horror of what she was trying to do and what she had to endure. And then when they get to the outside, it's nearly worse in some ways. And I thought they did a good job of that. And again, that was through the eyes of the child. If they told that through her eyes, it would have been, again, just too horrific to watch.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah, the simplicity and the innocence is what saves it from being unwatchable.
Yeah, because he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
And that's why it's called Room, because in his world is so small that everything is defined by the definite object. It's not a room, because in his world there is no other room. It is just room. That's why it's called Room. He also has chair. He has table. There's a brown spot, which is like a stain on the carpet. Where his mom had a miscarriage before, but he just calls it the brown spot. He looks, he's excited about getting brown bananas because his mom has told him they're sweet like candy or whatever, so he's excited. He doesn't know that brown bananas are the shitty bananas,
Yeah. And like, I was immediately started thinking then, I wasn't thinking about Avery, my kid, strangely, when I was watching this. I was thinking about Neo. Because Neo spends a lot of time in my house. And then I was going, like, this house is Neo's room in a lot of ways. So I watched this on Friday night, and then on Saturday we went for the longest walk we've gone on. And I don't know how long. And I was here, dude, I'm not even going to bring the lead. You just run wherever you like.
But not in front of cars.
No, I brought him to a place where everybody walks their dogs in Letterkenny.
Okay.
It's actually around where I work. And he was having such fun till he met the big black dog. Then he had to run back to me at great speed. But anyway, it's thought provoking. I was immediately captured in the room with them, and the performances and just the tone they set. The tone is something that's worth mentioning as well. So when they get out, leading up to them getting out, it didn't happen the way I expected at all, and that was. My heart has been just torn asunder watching that unfold.
Yeah, me too.
But it was completely not what I expected. But I don't want to get into spoiler territory with that, so we just leave it there. But when they get out initially, everything is so bright, but then it fades back to the same lighting they're using in the room for the most part. And I thought that was really interesting because that was obviously in pathetic fallacy with the mother and the son to a degree as well. But I think it's very well put together film. It's so simple, but so powerful. And I really, really enjoyed it.
That's the word. It's powerful. And, obviously it's emotional, dramatic, edge of the seat at times, fantastic script, But, yeah, powerful, I think pretty much sums it up, it's one I'd certainly recommend.
Tell me about Brie Larson's performance.
She's brilliant. In that.
It must be
exactly.
Heartbreaking. Like,
oh yeah,
how she conveys. I'm really looking forward to seeing this tomorrow. But a woman who does know that there's a world outside this room, who does know the context of why she's in this room, who knows, how her son came to be, who his father is, what it's going to be like, getting baback on the outsides.
Yeah, and there's a certain point where you can see that the frustration, and you can see all of the emotions that she's going through, the anger and the sadness and so on. Mm-hmm. And then when she's explaining, that there's an outside world, that's, you can see almost like a relief as well. But anyway, apart from that, you can see it all through the movie that she carries the role brilliantly, and she just, even without saying anything, and it's not that she's changing her, her facial expression that much, but it's almost, just detectable,
right.
She's just really good, really
so
strong.
So she got nominated for an Oscar, didn't she? Best
Yeah, I believe
actress?
so. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she should. She
what do you
absolutely
think?
should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think winning?
She was
Possibly.
seamless. She could easily win for this.
Yeah.
She was completely seamless in the role. Is it a lead role?
I think she was nominated for lead role. Yeah.
I'd probably dispute that. Maybe. She's
Best actress.
She's supporting the kid. Like, the kid is the lead.
She's the lead female, so you could argue that best actress.
Anyways,
yeah, fair enough. But either way, whatever Oscar she's up for, she deserves.
Right. One thing I've heard, I was listening to the Irish Times do a podcast called Women's Hour, and I was listening to it the other week on a run, and they were interviewing Emma O'Donoghue, and she was talking about Lenny Abraham when she worked on the screenplay. Like, Emma O'Donoghue, who wrote the book, also wrote the screenplay, and she worked on it for several years before they began filming it, so she had lots of time to kind of get the tone right. And two things that she was saying about the tone of the film, which I think are the only things that are going to allow me to watch this film. She said that she really wanted to focus on what you guys were saying in the beginning, that it's really about the love between a mother and her child. Yeah. It's not meant to be depressing. I mean, maybe like you were saying, Mark, that simplicity and the innocence told through the child's eyes, you're kind of saved from the worst of that reality being made explicit. And instead, apparently, they're focusing on the love for a mom and a child, and it's supposed to be kind of a redeeming, or at least a hopeful story.
Yeah.
And along those lines, when they were getting ready, when the screenplay was done and they were getting ready to start shooting the film and they were looking at directors, Lenny Abramson wrote a letter to Emma O'Donoghue explaining why he wanted to be the director, because he didn't think, as an Irish kind of small town guy, that he had any shot. He thought that they'd be, shopping it around to big directors. And in his letter, his plea for doing this film was because his vision was the same as Emma O'Donoghue's, that, this is a story of love. Ultimately, it's uplifting, even if the subject matter is really difficult. And I'm really banking on that to be true, because otherwise I think it would be a really hard film for me to watch.
Yeah, and it really comes across,
Does it?
as a mother, that it's not just the love for her child. It is, because she has got so much patience and she's so diligent about homeschooling and about exercise, and, she's created games so that they can do it within their room, yeah, and even after,
it makes it so that their reality isn't excruciating to watch as
yeah, for sure.
People who know
but even
better.
afterwards, like when they're out, her main focus isn't her getting her life back so much as making sure that or showing him the world.
Right. Yeah.
This is what's the world is about, and here are all these experiences, and we're going to do everything, to see what we like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So one thing I heard someone describing during the week, I think it was their review of The Revenant, and they were saying that they didn't enjoy the film. They found it to be like 2 hours of stressful viewing. That was good, but they didn't enjoy it. Would you say that Room is in the similar vein, that you couldn't like the film, you can only endure it because of its stress? Or do you think that there are, it's likable or watchable?
I'd totally be on board with that.
Would you?
Yeah, I thought the fact that they told it through the kids' eyes made it worse.
Right.
Because you know what's going on, and the pathetic naivety of it. It's just like, oh, Jesus
It almost
Christ.
highlights how bad the situation is.
It was brutal.
I saw that as a more protective kind of shroud over the kid. The fact that he didn't know any different.
Yeah,
that
so did I.
That is the saving grace, really,
For me, that magnified it. That was a device
for you watching it.
Yeah. In terms of impact on the viewer, I thought that made it 10 times worse than if you told it through the mother's.
Whereas I felt kind of comforted that he didn't know any different. And there were times like when they're, playing games or just hanging out or whatever, where you could see that, I was actually enjoying that interaction. Or like when he got up in the morning and he's sort of saying hello, like you were saying to the only things that he knew. Hello, sink. Hello, chair number one. Hello, chair number two, and so on. But it wasn't. That was just his routine, and I thought that was kind of nice.
See, when I was reading the book, I agree with you, Mike. Like my first response was that it really annoyed me that I was reading through a kid's eyes. It just, it bothered me as a reader. But I think I started with your perspective, Mike, but then I kind of moved to more what Mark and Steve were saying, that I was glad that it was told that way, because I think the other way would be just too hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the horror that's being magnified though, Mike, because if you saw that through, is it Brie?
Yeah.
If you saw that through her eyes, then you're dealing with the very adult nature of what's happening to her every day. Like,
but that,
and
go on.
And you're probably going to say that's happening anyway. But there's a big difference between knowing something's happening and hearing about it in visceral detail. Like.
But that's the thing. If you had told it through the mother's eyes, it would have been just another sad story.
Exactly, yeah.
But the fact that it's through the kid, you have to use your own imagination to fill in the blanks. And that's, it's the mark of a good horror, even though this isn't a horror. But that's how great horrors work, is that they don't spoon feed you. They let you do the filling in of the blanks. And I thought that was the greatness of this movie. I think this movie couldn't have worked except for the actors. If you just gave that script to any two random actors, it probably would have been a shit movie. I mean, it's a pretty simple story.
I guess
there's not a lot to it.
And like you said, the director was, the
key there.
Obviously the director is obviously going to be key, but more to the point, I think, in this case. Yeah.
I mean, fair play to them. They carried it big time. It's but I mean, coming back to what Shona was saying, I don't think I could recommend anybody to watch this. It's a fucking horrible movie. It's brilliant, but it's horrible.
I think I could, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I'm not traumatized by it.
Oh.
There's a lot of crap we watch, like Fifth Wave. I was pretty traumatized after that. But I think this is, like we said already, we've said the word powerful. I think it's a powerful movie. I think I could recommend it, and I think it's a very, very strong 9 from me for this.
Wow.
Yeah. And also, just as a point of interest, with Oscars and Bree's nomination, she is 1 to 5.
Really?
Whereas Saoirse Ronan is 5 to 1.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And then they go down in 15, 25, and 25 to 1. Yeah, for the rest. Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's any comparison between Brie and Saoirse, to be honest.
No, not
on the two performances.
Not in this case. Yeah. Now, Saoirse was brilliant in it, but this one is just
other level.
So much. Yeah, totally.
And I'd almost be inclined to put the young lad up against Leonardo for Best Actor, to be honest.
But I think knowing that what we've heard from Brie Larson and Lenny as well, that a lot of that performance is coaxed from a director, you maybe have to give a bit more kudos to Lenny and what he was able to coax out of the kid. If the kid's not going in there memorizing all of his lines, studying character or whatever, there might be a lot of work being done behind the camera to get that performance, whereas Leonardo DiCaprio, hasn't shut up about how much, he got into his character.
Well, I'd say even the Leonardo DiCaprios of this world, the directors have to work with them.
Yeah, that's true.
To realize the vision. It doesn't matter what level you're at, that there's a certain amount goes into it.
Yeah, oh, definitely. For sure.
So I don't think you can accuse the kid of cheating because the director helped him,
I wouldn't have, yeah, that's fair. What would you mark this then, Mike?
I wouldn't go quite as high as Steve. I thought it was an excellent movie. I thought it was a very disturbing movie. I certainly didn't enjoy it. I would give it an 8. I would give it higher if it had a better score and more memorable lines.
Okay. Sound mixing.
Maybe I didn't notice the sound mixing, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. If you don't cry too easily, go ahead and watch it.
And if you do cry easily?
You probably watch the Smurfs or something.
Well, I'm going to see this first thing in the morning, so I'll let you know tomorrow. I will take a selfie when the movie's done, and I will show you guys how red my eyes are.
Well, it's going to be an 8 for me. It is very close to a 9. The lack of explosions and gunfire is probably what does it. If there was even a cameo by Vin Diesel, it would have pushed it over for me.
Even if the microwave had exploded, something.
Although William H. Macy was in it for a bit. So.
He was briefly in it, yeah. No, it's a tremendous film. It's just tremendous. As someone who cries relatively easy, I barely made it through it. Like
Jesus, I'm gonna have to fortify myself tomorrow. So
no, but if I could have done it in the cinema without being obnoxious, I would have texted anybody. Just so I felt like I had company.
See, Mark, I'm going to be holding my baby while I watch this, so I feel like that will be a comfort.
That should help, yeah. That should help.
Actually, now that I think of it, there's no skylights in the cinema.
Also, Shona, it's going to be you with your child in a dark room, right?
It will be, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
One they went into voluntarily.
Yeah. Just take note of the exits before you get in there. Yeah.
I pee a bunch of times.
I'm just looking at the Best Picture odds here on the same, and Room is 80 to 1.
Oh wow!
Guess what Mad Max Fury Road is?
It's got so
probably
many
even
nominations.
25 to 1.
It's 33 to 1.
Oh, that's close.
What the hell?
I still haven't seen that,
So
don't bother.
This is the list, right? And
great.
This is the order in which the odds are going, right? So their favorite is...
Is this Vegas or Paddy Power?
This is Paddy Power, right?
Okay.
So their favorite is The Big Short, then Spotlight, The Revenant, The Martian, Mad Max, Room, Bridge of Spies, and Brooklyn.
Is that in ascending or descending order?
Descending. Yeah, Brooklyn's 100.
Most favorited was the first one you said.
The Big Short is 11 to 10.
Okay. I didn't know if we were starting with the most popular.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brooklyn is what they're all saying.
is is the least favorite.
Oh, sorry.
100 to 1.
Yeah.
Starting with the most favorite,
Sorry.
ending with
So
the
the
least
Big
favorite.
Short is the big one to see then.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to seeing that. It looks good.
And I think next week we'll be looking at Spotlight. So that should be good. And we've seen Revenant, The Martian, Mad Max, Room, Bridge of Spies, and Brooklyn.
All right then.
We're like all over this Oscar shit, huh?
All over.
Just the Big Short to see, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
The Big Short, yeah.
Yeah. I might sneak that one in for next week myself, actually.
Oh, has anyone watched The Danish Girl? I was hoping to talk about that.
We'll have to leave it for a couple of weeks from now, I suppose.
Okay, next up, we have some previews and Coming to a Bicycle near you. So the first one is from Key and Peele. It's called Keanu.
Yeah, what a great trailer.
Yeah.
Such a good trailer. Like, they make it like a mafia gangster movie about a cat named Keanu. Like, what a better reason to watch a film than a cute cat?
IMDb describes it as friends
A
hatch
satire of John Wick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Friends hatch a plot to retrieve a stolen cat by posing as drug dealers for a street gang. Yeah. So
This could well be my favorite movie of 2016.
I was thinking
This will
you
be
might.
at the bikies.
it actually does look.
I'm going to face you all down next December.
It does look funny,
doesn't it?
So I think this is an example of humor compared to God, I've already forgotten Angie Tribeca. That is just like, it's still kind of, I don't want to call it base, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
It's silly, but it just looks like it's really well done, silly.
These guys
like
are
your
really
man,
good.
Key and Peele, you know, he's like talking on the phone to his wife. He's like, she's like, why are you talking like that? He's like, I talk like that sometimes.
You sound like John Ritter normally.
I must send you on a sketch later on. The I said bitch. Did you see that?
You haven't seen that?
No, I have showed you.
Oh man,
it's brilliant.
total lack of context there.
We'll actually stick it up on Facebook as well.
Dude.
It's worth it.
Because now that I'm on Facebook, I can enjoy that.
Exactly.
But like
Facebook?
I joined Facebook.
Have you
this
friended
week.
me yet?
I couldn't find you on Facebook,
Mike,
True
you wouldn't
story.
be able to find Facebook.
I go on at least once a year.
He's got a secret profile.
Just to check if
He's
anybody
off the
is
grid.
still my friend.
Yep.
But even
All
the
two of
fact
them.
even that the cat is wearing a little bandana at one
Oh,
point,
man.
like how cute is that?
Yeah.
You're turning into a cat person, Shona.
I'm not. We'll see what this film
are.
does to me.
You
We'll
are.
see what this film does.
Yeah, I know you got a dog already, but there's room in your house for a cat.
Okay. So, okay, we're agreed. We're going to watch that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, next one we saw was Money Monster.
Julia Roberts, George Clooney.
And Jack O'Connell.
Yes, who we know from, what was that called?
Startup.
Yes.
Yes, and several other things that we
71.
saw recently. Yeah, he was in 71. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
Directed by Jodie Foster, this film as
That's
well.
right.
Is it?
They showed that at the end of the trailer.
Shame
So
on me.
George Clooney is working on a TV station called Money Monsters. Julia Roberts is his producer, it looks like.
Producer.
And then the show gets held up by Jack O'Connell, and George Clooney's gotta talk through not getting killed live on TV with Julia Roberts in his ear.
It looks like the greatest film concept ever.
Do you think?
I like the look of this.
I'm always very pro George Clooney for services rendered to people with grey hair. But the setup just looks amazing. Like it looks like really, like I was invested emotionally just in the trailer. So I'm hoping that the film will be even more so.
It does
I
look
found
good,
it
all
intriguing
yeah.
that by the end of the trailer, George Clooney looks like he's pretending to hold up the other guy because he's just like, we're going to get these people. Like they almost seem to have,
Bonded.
but they're on the same side. Then George Clooney is holding the other guy up to get someone to give answers because the guy's blaming banks or someone for stealing his money or being irresponsible.
And what's great is that it's still all just traced back to some good storytelling ideas that have been around for so long. Two people who are very different and don't necessarily like each other are thrown together in this situation and they have to get through it. I'm really excited. Like there's moments in this where and I think that there's a lot still to be seen. I don't think that they showed us everything. There's moments in it where like Mark was talking about being emotionally invested, where somebody gives him a bullshit answer, so he shoots a TV screen that the person is like talking to him on, and she reacts because of like feedback that it creates. But I was just kind of like, oh, yeah, fuck you. Like, I agree with this guy who's doing a terrible thing, and I probably shouldn't. But
there's also Dominic West is in this.
Yep.
McNulty, as you remember, most people remember from. And Outlander fans, and Mike will be excited to hear that Katrina Balfe is also in it.
Katrina.
and Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
I want to actually just on this put forward my long-standing record of predicting ends of these movies. Julie Roberts at the very end is going to pull off her face, and it's going to be Bruce Willis underneath.
So yeah, this looks good. So the last one we looked at was one with Jason Sudeikis and Rebecca Hall, which is called Tumbledown.
What a weird title.
Yeah.
So basically, it looks like he is a music journalist. She used to be married to a music guy who died too young, and then they meet, and it looks like they start falling in love.
Yeah, he's a writer.
Yeah.
And he wants to write stuff about him.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, go away.
I don't think I really buy him as a romantic lead in this role. From the trailer anyways, it just kind of looked, I don't know, I want him to make a joke.
But she's in a very small town. She probably doesn't have a lot of choices.
Oh my god. I believe in Jason Sudeikis. I buy him as a romantic lead.
Oh, I buy Rebecca Hall as a romantic lead.
Jason Sudeikis I always think of from 30 Rock. Is it 30 Rock? Yeah, where he's Liz Lemmon's boyfriend. I liked him in that romantic lead. But this looks like he's trying to be like, sexy romantic man romantic lead, which I don't know why I buy him as. I'd buy him as like comedic man's romantic lead. Do you know?
I mean, he's a snarky intellectual. I think that I can buy him as that,
Yeah,
he's been
I
cast
buy him
well,
as that.
and
But not like
Speaking of buying,
swoon-worthy
How much
type
would you buy him
romantic
for, though?
lead.
That's the question.
Not very much.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of buying concepts or people or characters, I think with a romantic comedy or romantic drama, the big thing is, are you going to believe any of the words that these people say? Because they need to be able to say I love you without saying I love you. And is that because of the people saying the words being good at pretending, or because the words are good, or both? And there's a moment in this that I think is a good litmus test for me, and that I would recommend to everyone, go check it out and see if you see any of these phrases. But she says that she had a lot of love left in her arsenal that she didn't get to give, and she's just trying to shake it out.
Love in her arsenal?
If someone described that to me, I would be like, that sounds fucking stupid. But watching the trailer, I was like, oh, that's not, and then I went, shit, now I want her to be happy. So I'm probably going to watch this and then maybe cry. And then maybe be like, oh, so that's why it's called Tumbledown.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with this because...
You're kidding.
Yeah. Rebecca Hall, she does give me little butterflies in my stomach, feelings I don't quite understand, even though I'm...
because they're positive.
Way past puberty. But when I saw the name was Tumbledown, I was expecting a movie about the Falklands War.
Oh, God.
And I was waiting for fight ships and airstrikes and stuff to come up, and that didn't happen. There was just two people talking about how they maybe might kiss sometime.
Just a country girl.
Yeah. So this would be a great movie if there was some ships fighting in it, and they fell in love.
Some dragons and dwarves. Is that right?
Yeah.
Where does Tumbledown come from? What's that title?
It's going to be in the movie. It's probably going to be the name of one of the songs that the dude wrote.
Oh, yeah.
After the last airstrike and before the first destroyer goes down.
I'd say that's a good call, Sean. I'd say it's something like that. Yeah.
Or it'll be the name of the album or
his
something.
last album, yeah.
Whatever it is, it'll be something where you'll then go, oh, but it has taken on new meaning because of the new love that is being formed betwixt these two human beings as their souls ignite and unite together in a beautiful conflagration, and eventually they have sex, but then the windows get really steamy in the cabin that they're in because it's cold outside, and then one of them gets pregnant, and then they have a kid, and they name it after the guy that was dead, but then he comes back as a zombie, and he eats the child and everyone in the town.
That sounds like a good movie, Sean.
Nice. I like that one.
Sean, when are you making that fucking movie?
Movie ideas.
God damn it, I'm getting impatient. Waiting. Don't keep me hanging,
blood, man.
Just
writing it in blood.
Another note, this is being made by Stars.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
good.
Spartacus.
Yeah.
We like stars.
Yeah, we do like stars.
Yeah.
Dude.
Spartacus, pirate ship lesbians,
Ash versus
and
Evil Dead.
And Outlander.
Outlander.
yeah.
Ash versus Evil Dead as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Is that pirate ship
Kinds of
lesbians
good.
still going?
which one?
Pirate ship
Blackbeard.
lesbians.
Oh, Blackbeard.
Black Sails.
Well, my name is better.
Don't know.
I don't know. I think there was a shaving issue, and they cancelled it.
If you're talking about Black Sails, it's still going.
Oh, that's what it was.
Actually, the end of season 2 is just totally off the cuff. The young lads' all-time favorite episode of any show ever.
Really?
Yeah. 'Cause like cool stuff happens
Cool stuff
on
happened.
on an epic scale.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So if you don't ever watch anything about Black Sails, just watch the last episode of season 2.
Okay. Tip from the hot corner there. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Yeah,
That's it.
that's it. So, yeah, we'll be back next week with
Sorry.
another jam-packed show. So from Mike, Mark, Steve, Sean, and Shona, stay classy.